And now for today's Bible question. Today we've been learning about Jesus entering into Jerusalem and how people showed kindness, praised him and honored him, but the proud religious leaders criticized and questioned his authority. We saw how these leaders loved to hold on to their position and power over the people. In the end, these blind leaders will lose everything because of their faithless and fruitless behavior. We learned also that some were using the temple as a place to make money from those going to pray or to worship God. Someone might ask the question, is it proper for church leaders to ask the congregation to give more money into the collection of the church? Christians have been conditioned to accept that church services will always include appeals for money and even multiple collections. The congregation is made to feel obligated to bring money, not just once, but over and over again. This is supposedly to support God's work, but may end up being used for the comforts and luxury of the pastor's home, car, and clothes. Church leaders know how to use certain Bible verses to convince their congregation to give more abundantly, with a promise that God will bless them. Such tactics of exploiting the church are very wicked, and that which will bring about God's wrath on ungodly men who use religion as a means to make money for their own pockets. The practice is so widespread that everyone expects the preacher to have his hand out, waiting for any gifts from the listeners. We see them often on the street corners or on public transportation, peddling the Word of God for monetary gains. I'm not trying to condemn every honest man of God who preaches the Word sincerely, but when a man begs for money, he is suggesting that God is poor and needs his servants to plead with people to give something to support his cause. God owns everything and does not need to beg for money through preachers. This practice is a blight on the church, and all thoughtful Christians should discern the error of preachers who beg for money, avoiding such practices by not supporting them. Jesus never begged for money, nor did he teach his disciples to beg for support. We do not see this anywhere in our New Testament. The servants of Christ live by faith, trusting in God alone for their support, and serve God out of love and gratitude, and not because of need or a love of money. The New Testament does teach us that each Lord's Day every believer should lay up in store a gift for the Lord to put into the collection. This includes all Christians, whether rich or poor, for each is asked to give according as the Lord has prospered them. If they can put in a few coins, then that is accepted based on what they have and not what they do not have. Those who have more should also add more to the collection. This instruction is given to us in 1 Corinthians chapter 16, and it applies to all believers, teaching the manner in which each should regularly give into the collection of the church. This does not support in any way the pleading of church leaders for people to give and give again. It is an individual exercise of faith and an act of loving obedience and worship. The collection plate can be passed around to the believers each Sunday morning without any need to appeal for people to give. Christians who know their responsibility will gladly give if they know the gifts are being used for the glory of God and the spread of the gospel, and not for building a palace for the pastor to enjoy. Sadly, some sincere Christians are discouraged from attending church services because of the constant pleas for more money. Christian services should be characterized by a spirit of love and giving, and not greed or exploiting the poor. On the first day of the week, let each one of you lay something aside, storing up as he may prosper. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 2.